Hey, I'm back. This is Chandler for Melda Production, and today I'm going to show you how you can use MTurboamp to create some subtle distortion. I'm happy that MTurboamp is finally released so you can check this out and try all the different amps and guitar pedals, etc. And MTurboamp is usually used for guitar stuff, but today I'm going to show you how you can use it for other things like maybe drums or synthesizers, etc. This is going to be a really subtle distortion that's actually more like almost subtle compression or something. It should sound like it's almost not there. So what we're going to do is I'll just bypass it at first, and I'll let you hear what these drums we have here sound like. Okay, and we have no input or output EQ. We just have some distortion here. And we have these on clip 2. So if I play this now, it's going to sound really distorted. Let me turn the volume down so you can hear it, and I'll turn it on and off. So this is off. Now that's probably way too much. We don't want that. What we're going to do for this subtle distortion is I'm going to first turn off stage 2 for now, and I'm going to turn on just stage 1. I'm going to turn the analog up. What this is going to do is it's going to add harmonics. I believe it's the even harmonics, or maybe it's the odd. I forget which one off the top of my head. But then we're going to set this down to one of these soft clipping modes. You can set it to 1, but I'll just do it for 2 for now. You can do whichever one makes you feel better. And then we're going to play it again. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at the input and the output, and we want these two to roughly match. An easy way to do this is just hit set. Now, as you can see, the output is about -2.6 and the input's -6.5. So it's about -4 difference. Now, if we really want to know this, we can use the set, which might give us slightly more accurate results, like this. Now, this should be pretty close in volume. At this stage, when we bypass it and unbypass it, you should hear a slight difference, but it really shouldn't be that much. I'll let you hear it. Now, I could hear a difference. It sounds like maybe the shaker is a little less prominent when I have it on. It's probably because the low end is being boosted a little bit, but you're not hearing too much. Now, what we can do here is instead of using this gain out, for each stage, I'm going to use the same thing. So let's try just about the same, -3.7 here. And we'll just take this off. And this should have the exact same result because we have no other stages. But what we're going to do is we're going to start stacking these stages. And luckily, we don't have to set each one. We can just use this, copy, click there, and go into here, paste. We have the exact same thing. Now, if we hear this, now you probably should hear a little bit more of a difference like this. Now we're starting to hear a difference. I can really hear that more of that bass coming through. And we can do it with another stage if we wanted to also. So here we have 3 stages. Let's listen to this. Now, as you heard, you're getting a lot more bass and you're getting a lot more thump. And I imagine if you're listening on headphones or something like this, when you have this distortion or subtle saturation on, you can probably hear that bass drum a little bit more, which you may want. But you might think, what if I want to adjust this? One thing we can do is just click Quick Learn for the gain in and Quick Learn for the gain out, so that way we can balance it. Now that we have our gain in and gain out, When we play this, we can increase the distortion or decrease it. And that will give us a few different sounds. So if you really want to pump that up, you can go from subtle to not so subtle, like this. Now, I think this is pretty good, and it's giving you lots of, different kind of like textures. And you're not really hearing so much distortion, except for when I really crank it. You're just hearing a little bit, I don't know, maybe something subtle and nice. And what I showed in another video is by changing some of this input EQ before it goes into there, you can also do a few things like make it less boomy if you want. So let's say if I do the same thing here. So by using this low pass filter, I made it a little bit less boomy. Or another thing you could do is I'll just use this low pass filter. Let's say I set this around 100, put this at 50, and I'll drop it by, let's say, 10 decibels. Now this is really going to cut off the low end like this. But you're probably thinking, that low end is like really weak there. What we can do is at the output, we can reverse it. So let's see, the exact same thing. I'll paste it, and usually I'd invert it, but it's probably not going to be 10 decibels of difference. So I'll just look here and I'll add it until like the input and outputs are even. And you might not like that much on here, so what you can do is actually blend the wet and dry together. So you're like, you know what? It sounds a little bit too congested in here. Of course, I could go in here and cut out some of the mid-range to get rid of some of that congestion. But if I don't want to do that, I can just blend in some of the dry signal, like this. So there you go, but let's actually listen to this on a different signal. Turn those off for now. And let's say we're just using on a single source, which might be better anyways than putting on a full drum mix. Let's just listen to this. So this is an 808, fairly clean. I'll put the bypass on and let's play it. Now, as you can tell, that's like fairly subtle. It's hard to hear. Let me turn this all the way up. And we're going to do the same thing, but now, as I said, the input and output should be about the same. I'm not really boosting it here. This is before. After. Now that should be really noticeable, especially on small speakers. But of course, we can do the same thing with the gain out. We can bring this down and then bring this up. So now we're getting, this kind of like modern sounds where you're getting lots of distortion on your 808. So this is an easy way to do that without getting too far out of control. Now, of course, you can do that if you want. You can mess with all the different harmonics and things like that there. And sometimes you might want to do this and use these different stages and mess with the EQ to get different sounds. But this is a really easy way to get that type of subtle saturation that you may not necessarily hear as distortion, but just gives you, a little bit thickening element, or maybe let something be heard on a smaller set of speakers, etc. So, hopefully that gave you some ideas of things you can do. If you like this, give me a thumbs up, leave me any questions or comments down below, and check out all the other plugins at meldaproduction.com. Till next time, see you.